phases. You would see phase 1, phase 2, they were almost concurring at the same time. And it is made that the time within which the vaccine was produced was very short. However, there was no compromise to anything. As I said, the safety precautions were all taken. And within this short time of less than 2 years, we have a vaccine, which is now under use in what we call emergency use listing. It is still undergoing safety monitoring, but it is allowed to be used. So we now need to appreciate that, and we say we have a vaccine for use against COVID-19 vaccine. Now, the goal of this vaccine is basically to protect the public health and minimize the societal and economic impact by reducing on the deaths due to COVID-19. What are our target groups? As guided by the global organization, we are prioritizing this vaccine. Now, one of the first target group is the health workers, and these are estimated to be about 3% of the total population. The second group will be the high risk group. I will show you the segmentation of these groups in the subsequent slides. Now, combining the health worker with other high risk group is what we call phase 1 activity. In here, this accounts for about 20% of the total population, and we want to target this in phase 1. Then subsequently, we shall go to phase 2, where if the vaccines further come in, we will go on to the phase 2, and I will also show you the categories in here under phase 2. But we should rest assured that we shall all get vaccine. It is a matter of time. The issue here is that we want to ensure that all countries receive doses at the same rate to the extent possible, notwithstanding likely practical limitation to be further worked out. So there is equity integrated in the distribution of vaccine globally. Now, some of you may have looked at this, but this is just to remind us that this is the structure of the virus, which is the SARS-CoV-2. It has what we call spikes. It has the matrix, it has the envelope, and then it has the internal nucleoside where the genes are. This will help us in my subsequent presentation. Now, SARS-CoV variants and the COVID vaccine. There has been a lot of discussion from the previous presentation where they say there are current variants that involve into mutation to the gene, spike protein that is generated, that is targeted by COVID-19 vaccine. As you can see, the various vaccines are targeting at different points. Now, several COVID-19 vaccines have reported reduced efficacy to protect against mild to moderate disease in people infected with the SARS-CoV-2 variants. However, the vaccine are still expected to protect against severe disease and death. This is very critical. Remember, studies are ongoing to examine if some vaccines may be more susceptible to the effect of the variants than others. Key to note, those using smaller epitope, the receptor binding domain on the spike, remember the structure which I showed you, may be more susceptible than those using a larger part of the virus, such as the spike protein or the whole inactivated virus. Different vaccines are using different materials. Now, our COVID-19 vaccine, which we are going to receive, is the so-called AstraZeneza, and this is developed from the science of the chimpanzee adenovirus vector COVID-19 spike vaccine. As we talk now, there are many production sites globally, in the UK, in Europe, and not in just 1 or 2 places, but several points within those European countries. We have India, we have South Korea, and Australia. Major supplier to the COVAX 92 AMC countries. This is where we are benefiting from. These are the low-income countries. Now, there is what we call the SAGE position statement, which will come sooner or later. But what we need to know just a preamble to what maybe I will show you later, is that these are some of the issues, the pain and tenderness, which are the common side effects which are seen, mostly mild, they short-lived, and they almost occur with each of the doses that you receive. But key to note is that the issue of pain is more prone to the young people. The elderly, they are not reporting much of the pain. Now, more about this vaccine, the so-called AstraZeneca. The vaccine is in a liquid formulation. You don't have to mix it. It's already mixed. We store it at the normal temperature within our fridges in the health facilities. That is +2 to +8. It is not like a freezer, which would require the ultra cold chain system. This issue of vaccine vial monitoring, you really don't need to know much about it, but it is a measure of the damage by heat. If it is exposed to a lot of heat, we can detect that, yes, this has been damaged by heat. It is in terms of 10 doses. It has no preservatives. It has a short life of just about 6 months. So the vaccine does not qualify for multi-dose vial policy. And that is basically the preamble. More about this, the dosage. It is given in small doses of 0.5 ml, and we give 2 doses at an interval of 8 weeks to 12 weeks. It is given by an injection within the muscle. This vaccine is so sensitive to light, and we must keep it safely. The vaccine expires, so we use it within a specified period of time. Now, when the vaccine vial is opened, we must use it within 6 hours. We expect that Uganda will receive its batch by 5th of March, and thereafter National Medical Stores will embark on the distribution. I will show you more in terms of the next steps. And some of the common side effects that are normally seen with the people who have received the vaccine, these are generally short-lived, generally mild or moderate. They become weak, they have headache. You tend to have a fever, which may happen within the first 48 hours. But as I said earlier, this is common in the young ones. Other less common after the second dose. So if you go for the subsequent dose, you may have a bit of confidence, so some of these things may not happen. It is less common in the older adults. Now, since February or January, when there was a breakthrough with the vaccine, this is a demonstration of the utilization of the vaccines. So many of these countries have taken up the use of the vaccine, and you can see United States, China, and others have used so far millions of the doses globally. Now, we still need to get more information about safety of this vaccine, and soon we shall be getting more information about the use of vaccine in the pregnant women. The other is the non-live vaccine, unlikely to pose specific risks. Then the individual risk benefit. So, as I said, this vaccine is still under investigation. So there is a lot of more surveillance monitoring that is continuing, and we shall continue to follow this until we get all the necessary information. Now, what is the status of preparedness in Uganda? Why are we going to vaccinate? The goal of the National Deployment Plan for Vaccination is to prevent and reduce the severe COVID-19 disease, deaths, and also sustain the national health system response and restore health and productivity of the Uganda society and economy. Now, whom are we going to vaccinate? We are going to vaccinate the high-risk person. This has been with guidance from our scientists in the country who have guided us on what to do and what to be followed. So we shall try to look for these people from different places, like the hospitals and also in the community. Now, in phase 1, persons at a high risk of contracting disease by nature of work, severity of the disease, or death, these are targeted for early vaccination. Now, the person providing essential services and at high risk, we have health workers. This is in both the public and the private facility. We have the security personnel. We have the teachers. Remember what I talked about in terms of phase 1? Then in phase 2, we do have the other vulnerable populations. These are persons aged 50 years and above. They're about 3,400,000. Then we also have persons aged below 50 years, but they also have other disease conditions like obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and others. Now, we also do have other essential health workers, the preclinical health workers, prisoners, tourists, airline, URA, all these. And then now we also have the 4th group. These are the below 50 years. After vaccinating all the others,